Giant Goofballs, a New York Giants podcast. Are you a goofball that loves Giants football? If so, sit back and relax as we talk about the team that both excites and frustrates us so much. And now, here are your goofball hosts, Drew and Rob.
Welcome, fellow goofballs, to Two Giant Goofballs, a New York Giants podcast. I am Drew, joined as always by...
I'm Rob. And we're talking about some exciting news.
Oh,
some mockery. A mockery of some news, if you will.
Well, there's going to be a mock draft. We're doing it. We're doing a mock draft. Somebody said the other day on one of our videos, they're like, you don't believe some of these idiots on here are doing all kinds of mock drafts? And I was like, yeah, we're one of those idiots. Here we are. Here we are doing another one here. This one we're doing a trade down. People talked about it. What we do in a trade down. So we're thinking about it. There's one scenario that I would definitely consider. So we'll talk about that. We're also talking about who's going to start a quarterback this week. A little more plain aviation FAA rules and regulations here. And with that, of course, we're also going to talk about, some news from the locker room there. Darius Slayton spoke about everything going on with the team there. So let's break right into that topic there, as Darius Slayton basically says he doesn't expect any kind of changes, which is kind of crazy for a guy who he himself is a free agent. Just saying.
Yeah.
Seems ironic considering they were talking about trading him during the midway point of the season here, but what do I know? So he was asked.
Well, they've only tried to get rid of him for the past 3 years, so
exactly, which is just insane. But he's been through. He's like the longest tenured Giant, basically. Him and Dexter Lawrence are the longest ones at this point, and the two of them have been through some really, really bad time with the Giants here. So he was asked about those comparisons to prior crappy years. That sounds bad, but it's the truth. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Back in 2019, he was asked to compare to that, which of course a really bad year. That was the year that Ben McAdoo ran rampant and couldn't keep control of the team and ended up getting fired midway through the season. He said, I mean, from a streak losing, it's similar, but I mean very different team at that time. But I would probably say that our roster then isn't what it is now.
That's true.
Yeah. It's a different roster. It's the same results. I think he was trying to say the roster is better now. That's like...
I think that was a soft, yeah, it's different. I don't know if it's better, but it's different.
Listen, vanilla ice cream and chocolate ice cream is still ice cream, right?
Touche.
Exactly. It's still ice cream. Comparing it to 21, which, of course, was the Joe Judge meltdown year at that point, that he literally had a mental breakdown at the podium in front of the press and caused his demise. He said 2021 was his own beast. That was its own deal. But, yeah, I wouldn't compare this year to that year. We just had a lot of other stuff going on that year that we don't have necessarily going on now. We're just losing. That is the only common denominator between the two. That's kind of the most important denominator, right?
Yeah. Listen, Bill Belichick wasn't the nicest guy, but at least he won a lot of his games. He won you a lot of rings.
What do you put up with nonsense? He likes Daboll, basically. That's what he's saying here.
I'm just saying a win's a win. Doesn't matter what's going on. Teams will go around and enjoy. They'll enjoy crappy coaches or like how they're treating someone as long as they're winning championships.
Yeah, well, that's the weird thing about it. Daboll hasn't been well thought of for his treatment of people in the process too, as well. So, not necessarily players, but at least staff members. And it's funny, you don't hear anything of that this year. So, could be interesting to see what's going on as the season ends there with that. He says he was asked about the planes going over MetLife the last 2 games. He said, I have not seen either plane either this week or last week. I mean, people got time and money. That's how they choose to spend it. It on them.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Call me crazy. But if I was a athlete playing literally catch for a living, like, let's be honest, he's a receiver. He's playing catch for a living and getting paid millions to do it. If somebody enjoyed what I did so much that they'd be willing to spend money on a plane to show their support. Because listen, you may not like the way it's coming out, but that's support for a team. Like, I care about this team. I care so much I'm willing to spend this much money to go ahead and show my opinion of what's going on. Like, that is, in its own way, a support for the team.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, they're spending capital.
Yeah. I would take that as quite the compliment. Like, the fact that I would ever be involved with something somebody would be so passionate about. They would pay literally to put up a plane above the stadium. Like, that's something there a little bit to be like, whoa. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like that should be a moment to step back and take a look and go, okay, this is that important to somebody. That's a big thing. Then he's talking about that I mean, everyone's entitled to their own opinion. I understand the fans' perspective, the frustration, and all that type of thing. At the end of the day, I think we have a talented roster. I think they built a talented roster here, and we just have to do things a little bit better to get it back in the. Yeah, that something seems a bit wrong here. We have a talented roster. That's 2-12.
Yeah, so talented.
So talented. So
looks talented enough to win two games.
And again, I've said it before, and I'm not going back, and I still think the Giants aren't as far as people think they are. They're just missing some very key components here. Especially, but listen, we said it before. Slayton will back anybody. He is that teammate. I feel like he's the guy that if you were in a fight, you'd want your corner.
Yeah. He's taking off his glasses and he's ripping off his shirt. He's ready to go.
Yeah, like he's back Daniel Jones how many times in his days there. Here he is back in the current coaching staff and Joe Schoen in the process. Like I said, he's a stand-up guy. I just think that some of the comments, the way he's wording them, is just a little bit out there. A little bit tone deaf to what we're dealing with as fans. Which I granted, anytime you're complaining about football, let's be honest, it's a hashtag first world problems thing. I get it. Like, but still, this has been rough. It's been a rough 10 years at this point, you know? And
very rough 10 years.
He wasn't even here for the whole part of it. That's the crazy part. Slayton got into the middle of it, and we haven't gotten out of it yet. So, but yeah, like I said, I get where he's coming from. He's trying to back his people, and I respect that. I just think some of the ways wording this could be just a little different there. So,
yeah.
Let's talk about the plane here again. The plane, boss, the plane.
The planes.
So, we talked about yesterday about the second, plane banner flying over MetLife Stadium, and we said we'd love to hear from the person who did it. Well, they're speaking out now. We found out something here. So the fan who went ahead and did the second plane here yesterday in the game against the Ravens spoke out to NJ Advanced Media on game day. So basically what happened is the one who flew the plane over MetLife yesterday in that Ravens game originally apparently had planned doing it the week before when they played the Saints. Instead, he learned that about the other fan who was also planning on doing it that week.
So there's multiple.
Yes, it's multiple people. It's multiple people. So he changed it apparently to the next week and changed his message to go in sync with the prior week's message. Now, I am curious how he found out somebody else was doing it. And I think it would have had even more effect if it was multiple planes the same exact week. I'm sorry. It just would have been spectacular. But, I look about the, the storyline. And it's like I said, it's kind of like you're keeping it going because you did it one by one instead of doing it two in one game. So pro and con. He said, I was made aware of the other group doing it, which is interesting. So he gave out it's a group doing the first one. So it was a group of people. He said, and thought it wouldn't really work to do 2 planes in 1 week. So I pivoted. I might as well piggyback off it with a new message to show the further frustration of the fans. It's also been disclosed that the first message was actually supposed to say, fire Shane and Daboll. But that was declined by High Exposure Inc., who flew the plane. And I'm wondering if this High Exposure Inc. is how the guy found out about the first one. Because he may have very well started going, you know what? let's get this going. And he called them up like, actually, it's funny you say that. Somebody just hired us to do the same exact thing. How many? I mean, honestly, how many banner companies are there like that? It can't be that many. I can't imagine that's the high lucrative, high in demand, field of planes with banners. Like,
especially not this time of year.
Yeah, I understand it more in this, and not that even area. Like, you get it more on the beach and stuff like that, So, and I'd imagine there's airports down by the beach that would have that as well. So not North Jersey or New York right there like that. That's more like, maybe Teterboro or something like that probably has a spot like that. I don't know. I don't pretend to be an expert on renting a plane with the banner, though I would love to be one. If someone wants to go to buymeacoffee.com/2giantgoofballs.
Yeah, I'm not that comfortable where I could sit there and afford to buy a plane at my leisure.
Yeah, seriously. But like I said, it's interesting. So, he went on to say the biggest thing that the Mara family prides itself is pride in themselves. And so if you're able to make it more embarrassing, it will further force them to take action. He's not wrong. He isn't wrong there. Whoever this person is, he is definitely, a Giants fan. Regardless of the fact that we know he is because he flew the plane and all. Like, that's a knowledgeable Giants fan because, if there's one thing Mara hates, it's being embarrassed. He has a lot of pride in himself. When he had more pride in his job as a Giants owner, but he had a lot of pride in himself, that's for sure. Then he goes on to say, pissed is the wrong word. I'm apathetic. The product is so poor to where today we're losing so poorly that the only bright spot for the offense was the Ravens' defensive penalties and Tim Boyle. And the worst part is that all the evidence points to Shane and Daboll doing a poor job. And somehow we have to have this conversation of, are they coming back? Thank you.
Yeah.
I've been wondering how this is still a conversation forever. It just doesn't make any sense whatsoever. They can't come back. You can't come back from 2-12 in your third season. Somebody put a comment on one of our videos saying, you can't stop the rebuild in the middle of a rebuild. Let's see, we went from 9 wins to 6 wins to 2 wins. That's not a rebuild. That's a
destruction.
Yeah, it's a destruction. That's exactly what that is. When you're getting worse and worse every year, that is not the direction you want to go. Like, what do we need?
Progressively worse, like exponentially worse.
Yeah, like so progressive. I'm waiting for Flo to pop out with a new quote in my car insurance. That's how bad it is. Like, are we going to have like no wins next year? Is that the next goal? Like, we have nowhere to go but down just a little further.
Right?
Yeah.
Are we the new Raiders? The new Dolphins?
Yeah. We've officially hit the pinnacle.
Ugh.
Oh my gosh. It's horrendous. It's horrendous here. All right. Let's talk about the most important position on the field, which has been one that it's been just a cluster all year long, but especially lately. We got to ask, who's going to start a quarterback versus the Falcons there, guys? Because, we had Drew Lock in a boot. The Canadians that are watching, no, in an actual boot. We didn't ask what the boot.
Yeah.
we know it's a
boots.
But, he's in a boot. You got concussion now for Tommy DeVito. So you got to expect he's not going to be there next week. That's usually the way it goes with the concussion.
Yeah, at least 1 week out.
It's like, what are we going to do at quarterback? Because at least Tim Boyle, who literally threw to some of the bigger name receivers on this team, and I say bigger names in quotations there. Hey, Wandale's actually one of the highest reception guys in the NFL, and Neighbors is a top end receiver as well. So I guess it's one position we're not so bad at, but hadn't thrown to the starting receivers really all practices. So this is his first chance to do it was yesterday live in the game. And it looks like, honestly, guys, I would not be shocked at all if Tim Boyle is the starter versus the Falcons, which is just a little scary. But we've been a little scary all year long, and not in the good way.
I was going to say, at this point,
But then
proceed.
But then the thing goes, who's going to be the backup? Because you got to get somebody to back up like Tim Boyle. If you can't put DeVito in there, and if Locke can't really play, you got to do it. Now, I have an idea. There's this guy on the Vikings practice squad that I heard knows some of the players pretty well. Now, if I was him, I would definitely not come back.
I was about to say, you think he would be coming back? You out your mind.
But I don't know if there's any cap ramifications that I might not be aware of. But Daniel Jones is sitting there. He knows the players. He knows the playbook. I'm just saying.
Listen, if you want to bring me back, it's going to cost you.
If the injury, no, because that's the thing. You can pay the minimum. You're already paying them. Anything you pay him will go against the contract you're already paying him on at that point. It's like,
well, that's what I'm saying. It's going to cost you.
So I don't know. I feel like I'm saying in jest. I don't think there's any shot in hell we bring him back. And I think some fans would revolt. And it almost be hilarious to see that. Like, but I don't think there's a chance in hell he comes back. But if you really need a quarterback to be the backup for Tim Boyle, or to technically even possibly start on Sunday, you could do worse than Danny Dimes.
You want to talk about a fall from grace, the starting quarterback at the beginning of the year, and you could be the fifth option now.
Imagine that. That'd be like a made-for-TV movie. Like you go from starter to bench to practice safety to cut to practice squad for another team to back to being the starter again.
Yeah, the blinder side.
Oh my God! It's like we need some like B-level actor to play this Lifetime made-for-TV movie quickly.
Bruce Campbell will be his grandfather.
Oh God! First off, Bruce Campbell is the man.
100%.
Second off, he would never put himself in that position to do that kind of movie. What am I kidding? Bruce Campbell would do anything he gets paid to do.
100%. You see this stuff he puts out?
I know, but like I said, to me, I don't think the injury guarantee applies at that point. It's a new contract, so like I said, it'd be interesting, and I wouldn't be shocked if somebody doesn't bring it up in a meeting somewhere, because you could do worse. But again, I don't think he'd do it.
No,
I don't.
No ways. There's no way.
No,
Well, I shouldn't say no way. It's very improbable.
Yes,
I've seen crazier things happen this year.
Maybe Darius Slayton calls him up, say, "We need you, buddy.
Come on, Buckaroo. You can get these guys for another $5 million this year."
Oh my God, it's crazy. It's crazy. All righty, guys. We're gonna go ahead and let's start a mock draft. And guys, we usually do a couple of these a year. Mostly because the Giants suck. We start looking forward to the draft in this time of year. But most teams are still talking about the end of the season and a playoff push. But here we are talking about that right again. Now, as of right now, we are officially the number one pick in the draft. Keep in mind, the Raiders haven't finished playing yet. If they win, I think they barely slip above us based on strength of schedule to number one. But people keep talking about what we do with the number overall pick and what we do with the second overall pick. So we're going to give a scenario here. Well, let's say hypothetically the Giants end up with the first overall pick, because it's a good possibility still, guys. Don't forget the Raiders still have to play the Jaguars next week. We're hoping for a Raider win if they can't pull it out today, even against the Falcons, which is right now not too bad. So
until safety.
There's been rumors all along that the Raiders really, really want Shedeur Sanders, and that Shedeur Sanders does not want to go to the Giants. Now, we have called BS on that rumor, point blank, and I will still call BS on that rumor until I hear something actually from Dion's camp or Shedeur's camp saying that it's true. But let's play devil's advocate for a moment. Let's say we decided we don't see much of a difference between these two quarterbacks, or we like Cam Ward better. And we're number one overall. And the Las Vegas Raiders call us up and say, what would it take to give us the number one overall pick? And we'll give you back the number two pick. And that's exactly the scenario we worked with. So I went ahead and did a mock draft for us with Pro Football Network. We got in that trade. We gave up just the first overall pick. We got back in that pick number 2, 34, 66, 72, and next year's second. Guys, I got to be honest. If we were offered that, to turn that down, you'd have to be so sure of the quarterback that you're about to take. It's not even funny.
Yeah.
That's a lot of goddamn picks, guys. That's a lot of goddamn picks. So let's get into who we're getting now with this shnikey load of picks, And obviously, second overall pick, we're going Cam Ward in that scenario.
100%.
Yeah, like there's no doubt about it. That's who we're getting. Shedeur Sanders goes to the Raiders. The Raiders have always wanted. We get Cam Ward. But now we got all these extra picks, guys. So pick number 33, our original second-round pick. We get Wyatt Millum, guard out of West Virginia. Bleacher Report said on him, Wyatt Millum is a 4-year starter at tackle inside West Virginia's run-heavy 60-40 run-pass split, multiple run scheme. Millum has a long torso, below-average arm length, and a well-rounded build with solid athletic ability and good play strength. So he's slated to play at the guard position here. Now, we have a couple of things we're going to need. We have to go ahead first off and fill the guard position potentially that Greg Van Roten's going to empty out when he leaves here if he does. But we also need depth. We need guys to go ahead and replace. We need guys who are able to play positions when guys get hurt. And what I liked about this is we're going ahead in this scenario and getting a guy who plays tackle and would be moving into guard, meaning that he has going to have some potential versatility at the offensive line. I love versatility on the offensive line. That's always been something I've really enjoyed out of guys that play the line position. So they're projecting to be a guard in the NFL. He very well could potentially play tackle. But like I said, you're getting one of the best offensive linemen in this draft with that pick. Then we're going to pick number 34. Walter Nolan, defensive tackle out of Ole Miss. And guys, we've been saying it all year long. We said it before this season even started, Rob and I. Our defensive line, besides Sexy Dexy, is an issue. We need some fresh bodies there. That's one thing that Giants have consistently done throughout the last, 20, 25 years is draft defensive linemen. I can go on and on the list of defensive linemen they've gotten. The Linval Josephs of the world, going back to those days. There's so many people that you can talk about that have been very good at this league for a long time that came from the Giants. The Jonathan Hankins. Plenty of guys you can talk about there. So we're getting, like I said, Walter Nolan, Ole Miss, and Bleacher Report said on him, there's a lot to like about Walter Nolan's game. He's big, physical, and strong with impressive movement skills that should translate well to the NFL. And he is. He's a little more of an athletic guy for his size than you would think. And like I said, I think it's exactly what we need is some more talented bodies on that defensive line. Not just bodies.
Yeah.
Talented bodies. Enough of these 6th, 7th round free agents and all this kind of stuff. Like, you need to get actual talent on that position. You can't just keep on counting on Dexter Lawrence to do it all.
Yeah, some natural talent, like the way this guy moves, and some actual talent in football play. Yep. Which this guy's got both.
Exactly.
You don't have to do too much training. You just got to do some coaching.
Exactly, and they're all going to need coaching. The rookies. That's life.
Well, I'm just saying, some guys you take a position, there might be a diverse player that you're going to send it to one. You're going to do more training than besides coaching at it. Instead of hey, just you need to do this and you do that. Instead of we're going to reteach you this position how to play, or you're going to learn this position. How many times we pick up let's say the running back, or we'll say the guy was a run, or he was a tight end. It was too small or too big, and we moved to another spot, or receiver that got converted over. Oh yeah, we learn in a brand new position. We do it all the time, and it's not just those positions. I'm just throwing it out there.
Yeah,
you do that with a guard. The guy might be an internal line guy, or might be, or especially on defense. Who knows? You could be an edge, and you put him inside, and it changes everything.
Yeah, and obviously he's not going to play the nose tackle position that would stick to Dexter Lawrence, but
100%.
on a 3-4 defensive line, this guy would be a nice athletic fit, I think, on this team. Round 3. And if I remember correctly, I have to go back to our prior mock draft we did, our way too early mock draft. I think we took this guy then too. And that's Caleb Johnson, running back out of Iowa. Draft Network says in his third season with the Iowa Hawkeyes, Caleb Johnson has already solidified himself as one of the best backs in the Big Ten. Running the ball within a pro run scheme shows that Johnson is ready for the next level and projects as a valuable asset to an organization's running back room. Now, what I like about this guy is he's more of a north to south kind of runner. Whereas obviously we have Tyrone Tracy, who, don't get me wrong, will run north to south. He's very good about falling forward, not taking negative yards. But he's also got some speed to him. I think Caleb Johnson would be a nice change of pace kind of guy to throw in there. Because, let's be honest here, Devin Singletary is probably gone at the end of the year.
100%.
I think that'll be a mutual decision, one of those kind of situations there. But even if he's not, he's there for only one more year. We need someone else because Eric Gray is poop. I'm sorry. He's not good. And you throw that into the fact that Dante Turbo Miller hasn't gotten any time whatsoever, which tells you the one of two things, that he's not ready or he's not ever going to be ready. I should say a third thing, that the coaching staff just didn't know how to evaluate him. That's a possibility, I guess. But it's a running back. Yeah. It's like, you don't see that as often, the running back. Running back's a little more cut and dry. Like, he's good or he's not good.
Yeah.
So, we go to pick 66, which is the pick we got in this trade here. We got Kyle Kennard, edge out of South Carolina. And Draft Network says Kyle Kennard is a fifth-year senior who spent the first 4 years of his collegiate career at Georgia Tech before transferring to South Carolina for the 24 season. At South Carolina, Kennard has had his most productive season as a pass rusher and has hit the ground running as one of the most impactful players for the South Carolina program that has played much better than expected football throughout the season. Kennard has showcased his explosiveness, physicality, and high motor, which appear to help set the tone for one of the best defensive fronts in college football. Kennard's relentless motor and effort set the stage for him to be productive in both the run game and as a pass rusher. There's a guy who perfectly replaces, in my mind, Azeez Ojulari, who we very well could lose this offseason. But even if we don't lose, let's say hypothetically, Azeez Ojulari, we can somehow get him back because the injuries are there. Like, we can potentially keep him because of the injuries, and it's going to lower his price. Ojulari is a pass rusher. That's all he is. He is not a run stopper. He's not a true edge. He is a pass rush specialist, and that's how he should be used. Kennard plays the run and the pass, and he's a guy that we could develop. So when it comes down to make a decision on Kayvon Thibodeau, you're developing a guy in case you decide against Thibodeau. Because I'm not so positive Thibodeau gets another contract with the Giants the way things are going right now. You know, he hasn't played well this year, let's be honest.
No.
Extremely talented guy, extremely athletic guy, but has not played well this year. And we all know his sacks last year were a little fugazi because he had such a huge win rate.
I was about to say, I mean, also, what do you have, 9 against the Commanders? Like, it felt like it.
It felt like it was the Commanders and the Jets were like half a sacks in the season. It was insane. So, you know, like I said, I just not sold on him yet. And I'm not going to give a bunch of money to a player that I'm not sold on, you know, and he's going into the year 4 next year. So you're going to have him for 1 or 2 more years before you got to make that decision. So why not draft a guy now that is best case scenario, a good backup edge? We haven't had a lot of edge backup. Or best case scenario, the guy that you're training up to take Kayvon's place. You know, there's nothing wrong with doing it that way. I think that's you're thinking ahead. You're plotting ahead. And that's what you're supposed to do in the NFL.
Yeah. I mean, we've been saying that for the past couple of years, but like Look what the Eagles have done well for the past decade at this point. They've always drafted good replacements.
Yep.
Have they always drafted the best? No, but like when you got the depth like on your field, you could start drafting replacements.
Yeah.
Keep your salary cap down and overpay your quarterback.
Well, it's also your depth. Your depth becomes your replacements, and that's what you're doing. You're training them to eventually take over when the guy wants more money than you want to spend. And we've already paying $30 million a year to Brian Burns. We can't pay $60 million to him and Thibodeau. Not going to happen.
That'd be crazy talk.
Absolutely insane. So, pick number 72, the last pick we got in the trade here. Keep in mind, we also get a second rounder next year, though. We got Tate Ratledge, guard out of Georgia. And I know I'm doubling up here, guys, and I'm going to fair warn you guys. This is not the only position we doubled up on. If you don't think offensive line depth is important and an issue, I beg you to look at our starting lineup from Sunday. We have had issues left and right. And let's be honest, we have plenty of people we've drafted that have been poop. Whoever is scouting offensive linemen for the Giants needs to stop. And it's weird because we're so good at picking defensive linemen usually. Even the group we have now, if you think about it, these guys are like undrafted free agents, 6th, 7th round picks. Like it's not like we got the minimal production we're getting out of these guys, and they were like 1st or 2nd round picks. For whatever reason, the Giants have been very good, like I said, at defensive line, horrible to offensive line. But here's what they said on Ratledge here. It said, throughout his college career, Ratledge has been a key contributor to Georgia's offensive success. In 2023, he was part of the offensive line that ranked 1st in the SEC and 7th nationally in sacks allowed. His performance helped Georgia's offense finish 2nd in the SEC and 5th in the nation in total offense, offensive pass efficiency, and scoring offense. Ratledge's consistency is evident in his career stats, allowing 1 sack and committing just 3 penalties over 1,581 snaps. That's according to NFL Draft Buzz. Now, again, y'all know if you've been listening or watching for a few years, I'm a big proponent of getting people from big schools. They're more NFL ready. Georgia is one of those. Plus, you'd have a Philip Bulldog and Andrew Thomas, obviously, on the roster as well. Not that they play together, but you know he's going to take him under his wing at that point, you know? Just saying. It seems to be, a potential helper there for him as well. So, all right, let's get into round 4. Now, round 4, we got 2 picks that own. And I'm doubling down, fair warning. I'm doubling down in round 4 for both of our picks, the same position. Because there's a position that we have huge need on that we have not talked about yet. And that's corner. Now, fair warning, because I know somebody's like, wait a minute, we waited so long to get a corner. In every single offseason plan I have in my mind, we're getting a number 1 corner, or at least a starting caliber corner in free agency. That is a necessity for this season. I'm sorry. It's absolute necessity this offseason to get. You don't wait till, right before week 1 and go get a Dory Jackson again.
No, jeez.
You don't do it. So, pick number 102, Damani Jackson, cornerback out of Alabama. And Bleacher Report said,
freaking Bama.
Roll Tide. Damani Jackson is a long, lean, and explosive cornerback prospect with the ideal frame for the position. A technician with solid athletic traits, Jackson offers versatility in both press and off coverage, along with the ball skills needed to make plays at the next level. I don't know about y'all, but when I hear things like, perfect size, athletic traits, plays press, praise man, ball skills, all good things. Now, this kid does have some issues as far as his form, as far as his technique. Well, we'll see what happens this offseason, but I have a lot of faith in Jerome Henderson. Always have. Look what he's done with Tyler Newman. Look what he's done with Drew Phillips this year. He is a very good secondary coach.
Yeah.
Give him some young talent. Let's see what he can do with it. But not just any young talent. Not ones that have an attitude from Maryland, not saying who. Not ones that are hyped up 6-round picks that people think of the JPP of cornerbacks. I'm just saying, you have to get if you want to really build a young corner room, you build guys that are hungry. You build with guys that are a lot of mid-round picks, not 6th-round picks, mid-round picks, and you get it going. 4th round is not a bad spot to get corners. It's not that much further down that we got Drew Phillips, who a lot of people say would be point blank potentially a 1st-round pick the way he's playing. So
it's fair to say.
We get Jackson, and then we double down, pick 134. We get Kobe Bryant. Not that Kobe Bryant or the other Kobe Bryant, because there is 2 Kobe Bryants. Of course, the ex-Laker who's passed, and we also have the one who plays for the Seattle Seahawks. It's going to get very confusing if we play the Seattle Seahawks ever.
Oh, geez.
So Kobe Bryant, corner out of Kansas, and NFL Draft Buzz says Bryant's versatility and ability to create turnovers make him an interesting prospect for NFL secondaries. He can play both in man and zone coverage, and his experience in both systems could appeal to defensive coordinators. Again, I'm looking for guys who can play press or man. I'm looking for guys who make big plays, because guess what we're missing this year, guys? Big plays in the secondary. So I'm specifically looking for guys who do that kind of work. And luckily they happen to be popping up where we're at. So we're going to round 5.
Round 5.
And we're doubling up again, guys. We're following, and I never thought I'd say this, we're following the Washington technique.
Ooh.
Round 5, pick 154. Curtis Rourke, quarterback out of Indiana. Because I don't know about y'all, but I don't think there's a single quarterback on this roster right now that will be there next year.
No.
I do not.
Not at all.
He happened to be down here. It was a little homage to Dash. Of course, Dash of Big Dash Knows was on with us talking about quarterbacks a couple weeks ago, and he's a big fan of Rourke's game. But, here's a guy you can bring in that you put him on the active roster, but you keep him as your emergency quarterback. We obviously got Cam Ward in this scenario. We're going to get probably a veteran quarterback as well. Here's your guy that you're training for a year to be your backup. That's what he's going to be. And I like that because it's a cheap backup. It's a guy you'll have 3 years of as a backup with costing you practically nothing. And let's say Cam Ward gets injured. Well, you have a young guy that you can go ahead and see what he can do. And one of 2 things will happen. Either he'll prove to you he's not a starter, which is what you're expecting out of a 5th-round pick, or he'll surprise you and be a starter, and he is a great trade bait.
Yep.
There's no way this goes wrong for a 5th-round pick. 5th-round picks flame out all the time. You don't expect anything of them. So, speaking of picks you don't expect much of, 7th round. We're down to. I know it's mean. It's the truth though. Pick 216, Malik Verdon, safety out of Iowa State. Again, we are just loading up the secondary, guys, because we have a lot of guys that I'm feeling are going to be on the way outs at the end of this year. And then College Net Worth says analysts suggest he may be selected in the mid to late rounds, depending on team needs and draft strategies. His potential to excel as a professional safety or corner is supported by a strong track record at Iowa State. With continued development, Verdon could be a reliable contributor at the next level. And you notice what they're saying: continued development. This is another guy who has the athletic skills, doesn't necessarily have the technique and that kind of stuff down quite yet. There got some flaws there. You can fix that. You can work with that. You can't teach speed. You got speed, or you don't got speed. You can't teach strength. You have strength, or you don't have strength. But you can teach technique. And here's a guy who's played safety, played corner. He's a perfect guy to bring in like a nickel dime kind of package at that point, who can play multiple spots like that. And that's what you're expecting out of a 7th round, is a guy who hopefully can develop into that kind of role. Because if you're drafting somebody in the 7th round to be your number 1 overall corner, you're crazy.
You got messed up.
Yeah, that's a big mistake, obviously. But if you're looking for a guy who could be a bottom of your roster kind of guy who can come in and play a little safety, play a little corner, play a little special teams, that's what the 7th round picks are for. And that's who you got. So, last pick, guys. 244. Tyreen Powell, linebacker, Rutgers University. We got the local kid here. Draft Network says Tyreen Powell offers a unicorn build at the linebacker position, which he does not have a horn, just for the record. No horn.
How do you know?
I don't want to know. His height and length create multiple issues for opposing offenses to plan for. He's a plus level coverage defender with man and zone capabilities. Powell offers versatility to the second level of a defense. Now, again, 7th round pick. You're seeing about a guy who's got speed, and he's a linebacker. That's the perfect guys for special teams success. And if he shocks you and does more than that, then great.
Yeah, he'd be a good backup in this league.
Listen,
fantastic.
You heard what they were talking about, his coverage ability. We've had coverage linebacker issues going back to 1932, it seems like.
Just about.
So, you know what? If he's more than what we think and we're wrong, great. But worst case scenario, he has all the tools to be a good special teamer at the NFL level. And that's what I'm looking for in the 7th round, guys who contribute somehow from that 7th round position there. So, again, we got starting quarterback. Well, eventual starting quarterback. We'll see if we start the season. We get one of the top guards in the draft. We get a starting defensive lineman, one of the top ones in the draft. We get a running back that is a good complement to Tyrone Tracy Jr. We get a good edge depth player at that point that could develop eventually and take over and go to a starter position. We have another guard at that point that we're getting here that's going to give us some depth here piece. We got 2 corners to give us depth piece. We got a guy that we can build to be our backup quarterback here potentially. And we got 2 guys in the 7th round that, we'll see what they are. I'm never too high in 7th round guys, but you see what they can develop in. Guys that at least have, the skills at that point to go ahead and be something on special teams. And we'll see what they would develop into. So Rob, what do you think?
Listen, for a lot of the same reasons like you just said, we don't have depth. Our secondary is dismal. Our quarterback room is going to be gonzo. So, yeah, you want some cheap options on how to do this. You go ahead, you get yourself 2 quarterbacks in your draft. Just like you said, do the Washington approach. It's almost kind of also the same thing as what Atlanta did, only they overpaid their starting quarterback, who they're going to then waste their first round pick on and trade up for. So that's a nice move. But this is a little smarter, a little cheaper, and you're not wasting as much draft capital.
Yep.
And then same thing with your secondary. You're going to start there and draft a whole bunch of guys, get them cheap. You're going to pick up a bridge corner, possibly a bridge quarterback. And you just saved yourself a buttload of money on cap. And you're starting fresh. You want to talk about what a rebuild is? You add a new coach, a new GM. That's what's called a rebuild.
Yep.
You're starting with some depth as well.
That is 100% a rebuild right there. So, guys, let us know in the comments what you think. We will get to all the comments here in a minute. We're done paying the bills here, but that are live at least with us while we shoot this live. But those are later on watching just the video segment of the video later on. Let us know your thoughts there on this, and what would you do in this scenario? Would you take that draft trade? Do you like Shedeur Sanders that much, or what would you do if you were whoever's going to be the GM for the Giants there? So, all right, let's pay the bills real quick, and then we're going to get into the comments here, and then we'll get into our picks discussion here as the games are still going here live on Monday Night Football.
Enjoying the show? Looking for more goofball action? Consider a membership at buymeacoffee.com/2giantgoofballs. Memberships start at just $5 and give you additional goofball access. One-time support payments also available starting at just $3. buymeacoffee.com/2giantgoofballs.
All righty, guys. And, of course, you can also support the show with a super chat on YouTube or by sending stars on Facebook or the freeway. Just hit the like, hit that subscribe, hit the share, hit one of them. Definitely at least the subscribe button, guys. That's the
please. That goes a long way for us.
Yeah, we are on our quest. As somebody during the show has already hit the subscribe button. Whoever you are, thank you. Numbers going up. You are the strongest link.
Yeah. Thank you. Come again.
Like I said, definitely helps us out big time there. So, All right, let's get into the comments and then we'll break into our recap of all the games from yesterday. There, let's go. Here we go. Brad says, "Do you think we need a new coat?" I don't know. Is your coat in bad shape or?
I do actually. I need a nice raincoat, so thank you for noticing that. Got turned inside out.
Considering in a couple of days I'll be up in Georgia where it's in the 30s and all. Yeah, it's gonna be dangerous for me here, guys. I can see the live weather on my computer here. It is like 10 o'clock at night and it's 68 degrees. I'm in trouble later this week. Oh my gosh. Connor says, "Drew, you crazy. Welcome to the El Loco and El Roberto show." I think we might get in trouble for that, considering Rob and I both, or neither one of us, are Hispanic. I'm just thinking that might not go over very well. I know I always said we could cancel one day. I didn't think that'd be how. Connor says, "Have Shane and Daboll been fired yet? Please say yes." I'm sorry, they're not. They're not. Deb says, "Heard a guy named Miguel sent the second plane. Describes himself as a comfortable, not rich, and an angry fan. I heard him on an interview. He said he started thinking about it around Thanksgiving." Well, like I said, kudos to him. That's for sure. Connor says, "My plane was down for repairs. Maybe I'll send a drone up. Got to be cheaper than that." Is this Deb or another Deb? Deb,
be careful with those drones.
Connor, same old Deb. And then they went back and forth. Let's go out of there. They're back and forth for a second there. Connor says, "You've got a new name now. I got to call Drew crazy or El Loco. Rob is Roberto. What's going on? LOL. Maybe we change the Giants to El Gigantes." I don't think, well, I think they probably do in the Spanish telecast, I'd imagine. Deb says, "I was on the fence about Shane and Daboll. Not anymore. Need GM and coach change to go with new QB." Damn straight.
There you go.
Like I said, you don't rebuild with people who can't rebuild. They've already proven they can't rebuild. Why would you give them more chance to prove you right on that assessment? Benji says, "The season is dragging on more than usual when we suck this much." Yes. And he says, "Insane, kind of scary." Yeah, the season kind of is.
There's some other good football out there, so hang in there.
Yeah, one day we'll be good again. Connor says, "Definitely start over if they STD that to begin with." What is that? If they STD that to begin with? We've saved at least 5 years. I don't even know what years they're sucking, or 4 years. I feel like that STD thing was not supposed to be there. If I had $1 for every time I heard that phrase. Connor says, "I doubt Daniel would do it."
How many times have you heard that STD?
Yeah, so too. Benji says, "Yeah, here we are in purgatory again." Exactly. Connor says, "Benji, I think it's going fast. LOL." He says, "I say we get Curtis Rourke or Haynes King, trade first pick, or get Travis Hunter." See, I don't think Travis Hunter is the guy that's going to make the difference people think he is. Just something about, I don't know. I you guys know that, watch and listen long enough, that I am a big on vibes. I'm not saying he's going to be a bust, but he's not going to be Ohtani of the NFL.
I mean, I think we've called out pretty much spot on with the QBs. Although Bo Nix is playing a little bit better than
we did. You know, but at the same point, though, he's doing what I expect him to do. He's playing solid, short passing games, which is what he's doing. But he did at Oregon. You're not going to win with that, though. Not long term.
Well, I was about to say they're 16 in the playoff draft right now for the AFC.
I'm just saying, you're not going to go ahead and win a Super Bowl with a guy that scores, throws 6 yards per pass. Yeah. I'm just saying. Let's see. Christopher Tony was up and says, "I wouldn't do it. That's crazy trade offer." It is a crazy trade offer. That's why I was like, I wonder what would be the offer. And it happened to just come up doing a mock draft. And I was like, oh my God, that'd be hard to pass up. Unless you really thought there was a huge difference between the two quarterbacks. I don't know if there is. Connor says, "I'm not sold any of these quarterbacks, to be honest. I appreciate your candor." Pal Levin says, "In my opinion, if we're trading back, it better like a Chicago Bears, Carolina type haul." I mean, I wouldn't say that. We're not going to get necessarily like that kind of haul, because I don't think there's a DJ Moore coming over in this. But if you're telling me you go down one spot only and you're getting a second round pick, 2/3, and a second next year.
Yeah, you kind of have to jump on that.
That's not a bad offer. Betty says, feeling like in second round we should target DBDL before wasting another top 100 pick on a regime that hasn't hit a line yet. Oh, in my opinion, we're going to have a new GM. I'm assuming that right off the bat. Because if that was the case, we might as well pick, if we were to have Joe Schoen at the quarterback, we might as well get Becky Icebox in the first round and Rad Tad in the second. I'm just saying. And if anybody gets that reference, you are officially cool. Or not, depending
on how old you are.
Yeah. Connor says, rather get in later round or trade for next year, or take Shador than trade him for picks if Raiders want him that bad. And that's basically what we just did, Connor.
Yeah.
Deb says, I'm not sold on these two QBs either, but pick one and get a good veteran as a bridge. Maybe draft a second quarterback and wait around because you never know. The great minds think alike, Deb. That's what we did. Yeah. Then Connor gives a whimsical thought look there. Christopher Kelly says, call me crazy. Risky. Sounds good, though.
But here's my number, maybe.
I just met you. He changes me because this has been art on this thing, but he said Kennard, he meant, is a blue chipper in my book. Yeah, like I said, I think he's a good, solid pick. If you can get him in the third round, I think he's a nice pickup at that point. Deb says, we don't need a Mahomes or Allen to turn things around. A good, solid quarterback would suffice for now. Exactly. I mean,
Allen is also playing as the best quarterback in the league right now. My God.
No, she's saying we don't need
a
quarterback in the league, and that's what she's saying because sometimes to turn the beat around, you've got to feel the passion.
Turn the beat around.
Can't you feel it?
Okay, disco time.
Disco.
Yeah.
Disco stew. She says we can definitely secure running back later. It's a deep running back class. I don't dispute that. It was just this guy popped up. If you're saying he was too early at that point to go ahead and get Caleb Johnson, he was there. He was the best overall pick on the board, and I like the way he complements Tyrone Tracy. That's basically what it is. Let's see here. Deb says, any stats as to whether offensive head coach has more or less success than defensive? I haven't seen any stats on that, to be honest. I think it's probably, if you look it up, it's probably going to be 50-50. I really don't think there's going to be a difference because it's going to be a difference in how your team is built and how your team plays. Don't get me wrong. But there's plenty of defensive coaches like a Mike Vrabel that just make it happen with a Ryan Tannehill. Or you got a guy like, Andy Reid that just breeds success under the quarterback he has. They're both pros and cons. So Connor says, believe it's offensive. Like I said, I've never seen a stats. I won't say either way. Louis D says, Brad drinking and texting.
The only rebuttal I'm going to have to say that is, what's that old saying? Defense wins rings.
I think it's offense gets the glory, but defense wins the game. It's, of course, Dennis Rodman from his Double T movie with Jean-Claude Van Damme.
He's way better than, what was it, Simon Says with Dan Cook?
What
was that movie? You said Dennis Rodman?
Oh, I didn't know Dennis Rodman was in a movie with Dan Cook.
Oh, yeah. It's like Simon Says.
Oh, my gosh. Let's see. Pal Levin says, oh, yeah, not a bad offer. I just don't think the Raiders do it because they have a lot of holes, too. Unless they really sold on Shador and they know Giants will pick him unless they trade with us. And that's what I'm thinking they're doing. And that's why the Giants aren't saying anything to either quarterback, and they're not going to. They want to let the dust settle and see what happens. Plus, it's so early on. It's way too early to make a decision. Wait to the combine, wait to all this stuff and figure out from there. Pat 11 also says, and also I don't think it'll be a realistic scenario, but crazier things have happened. But for some reason, Shane or hopefully new GM doesn't like any of the quarterbacks, then trade down for a haul. Yeah, no, definitely. I am 100% with you guys. If Joe Shane doesn't think that one of these quarterbacks is going to be the quarterback to take this team to the next level, which, let's be honest, it's not that difficult to get to the next level. But let's get to like the next couple levels. Then, yeah, don't take one. Get your bridge quarterback that won't always embarrass you and wait and just keep building the team until the right one pops up, because only one thing worse you can do than not get a quarterback. And that's
get the wrong one.
Yeah. So, all righty, guys, let's get into our breakdown. Now, guys, we're 55 minutes into this thing already. So we're going to do a abridged version of our rundown of all the picks this week here, guys. So let's get right into it here with our first game, of course, this week we got to go over. And that's the Thursday night football game. We always start that way there, as looks like, well, that's a weird picture. I just realized how bad that picture is of Patrick Mahomes. It's like he's like holding onto a toilet after having a bad burrito. Like,
Or it looks like someone grabbed him like Kermit the Frog.
Oh my gosh. Kermit the Frog here.
Here. I'm feeling a little green up in here.
Hmm.
How about you? Feel a little green?
Oh gosh. Anyway, the first game we got, of course, was the Thursday night game. Los Angeles Rams win 12-6. And of course, the game that's mostly known for the guy who wouldn't play, even though they asked him to on the Niners side. You and I did not see that one eye to eye at all, and that definitely worked out in my favor. As the Rams were the pick I had for the spread cover as well, whereas you had the Niners. You did get a pick though on the under, where I had the over, so that stopped me from getting my trifecta. So I ended up winning that game 2-1.
There you go. Well, up next, you go into Sunday, 1 o'clock. Sunday, which you had the Cowpukes going into Carolina, playing the Panthers. Ice cream Sunday.
Little caramel, little hot fudge, little walnuts.
Dallas wins 30-14. Drew, you took the boys to win. I took the Panthers. We both took the Panthers in that 4-point spread, but we all know how that happens. A little bit of a stopping. We both took the over, so you got 2 points. I got 1 point in this. No trifecta.
I shouldn't have counted on the Panthers for that at all. This is two things that I was this close to getting that trifecta on. So close.
So close, but yet so far.
Next one we got is the Chiefs at the Browns. And you and I both thought it'd be a blowout, and it was in true Chiefs fashion by blowing them out by just not letting them score. Because let's be honest, the Chiefs, for some reason, by the way, the Chiefs are like the only winning record team in the NFL that has not hit 30 points so far this season.
Interesting.
Yeah. So 21-7, they beat them. So you and I both picked the Chiefs to win. We both picked them to cover the 4-point spread. You and I, though, differed on the over-under at that point, which I just realized I just got to change that. I didn't give you your trifecta on that one.
Son of a gun.
Listen, let's probably go over it together. You had the under, I had the over. That's what stopped me from getting my trifecta on that one there. So you got the trifecta. You get all 4 points. I got 2 points. You win that one there. Next up.
Kudos. You got the Dolphins going into Houston. Well, it was a fun game, close game, but Texans were at home playing better. They won 20-12. And you took Texans to win. I was looking to stretch some points out here, go with the Fins, thinking it was a close game, hoping Tyreek Hill is going to come back and play some big football, but he did not. So you get the point. I don't. You took the Texans in the spread. I did not, because I was thinking the Fins were going to win. So you got 2 points in my 0, but I did take the under. So did you, giving your first trifecta 4-1.
Whoop, whoop. All righty. Next up, we got the Jets at the Jaguars, and boy, were you and I wrong. We were definitely betting with our hearts, not with our minds in that game, thinking the Jaguars would win. Jets won 32-25. It was a very close game that really was down to the wire there, though. But we picked the Jaguars to win. That was wrong. We picked the Jaguars to cover the spread of 3.5 points. Maury said the DNA test was wrong. And then, of course, you and I also had the over on the points, which is the one thing we got right. So we tied that 1-1.
Oh, fantastico. Up next, you had
with the finest Corinthian leather.
Yeah. Up next, you had the Commanders going into Nolans playing them Saints. Nolans. Saints always play tough, but guess what? Commanders win 20-19 and a heartbreaking game, but we'll have to talk about it another time because we're not talking about tonight. It's rapid fire. We both took DC to win this game. We both took DC to cover this game, and we both took the over, only giving us 2 points a pop because it was only 39 instead of the 43 we needed.
Well, 1 point.
44. That's two. We got 2 points off that each.
No.
Oh shoot! Sorry, 1 point a pop.
There you go. There we go.
I can't read.
The Giants here.
I never learned how to read.
What's this Zoolander school?
What do you? It needs to be at least 3 times the size for the students who can't read so good.
That school is hot like Hans.
Yeah.
So we got the Ravens destroying our New York Giants 35-14. You and I both picked the Ravens to win, so we were right there. We thought the Giants would cover the 16.5 point mega spread. We were definitely wrong there. We did both pick the over, though, which we were both right there. So therefore, we each got 2 points for Gryffindor.
Oh yeah. Well, up next, keeping on the toes of the Baltimore Ravens, you had the Bengals going into Tennessee, putting a stopping on those Titans. Tennessee loses 27-37. Bengals keep it close with they're trying to keep it close, but let's say they're out of the playoffs. Anyway, you and I both took the Bengals to win. Point pop. We both took them in the 5-point spread. Both got a pop. Both took the over, giving us trifecta 4-4.
Alrighty. Next up, we got the Patriots at the Cardinals in 2 teams that you never know how to bet on. It's like both are the most difficult ones, I feel like. But the Patriots lost. They lost, but to the Cardinals, who won 30-17 there. You and I both picked the Cardinals to win, so we each get a point there. We both picked, though, the Patriots to go ahead and cover the spread. That did not work out well for us. We had the 46 on the over-under at that point. So went to 47. So by the skin of your teeth, you got the extra point on the over. So you win 2-1 that game.
Perfecto.
No, that'd be 4 points to be perfecto. You got half facto.
I'm just saying. I got the extra point. Anyway, you got the Colts going into go into the Mile High playing the Broncos over there. The Broncos put a stop in. They stampeded, if you will, over the other Colts. The Broncos beat Colts.
The battle of the horses.
Yeah.
It's not fair. The Broncos are fully grown. The Colts are babies.
That's why I say they're way bigger.
Seriously.
Is it child abuse?
I think it is. I was about to suggest the same thing. I think you should get involved in that game.
I think so, because it was like there was 31-13. It's a big difference there.
That's what happens when you got a peewee football team.
Yeah. Broncos win. We both took the Broncos obviously to win the game. We took them to cover that 4 points, and we took the over, only giving us 2 points a pop there.
Womp. Then we got the Bills at the Lions. And this was one of the difference makers this week here, because I thought the Lions were going to win. You thought the Bills would win. The Bills pull it out 48-42. Insane.
Very exciting game.
Yeah, so I picked the Lions, you picked the Bills. Same with the spread pick at that point. You and I both picked the over, but that means you got the trifecta, whereas I just got the measly 1 point. So you win 4-1 that one.
Well, up next, and another lacking that you got, but I joined you in, is you had the Tampa Bay Buccaneers going into Los Angeles playing the Chargers.
The Chargers.
Chargers have been playing the lights out. The Bucs have been hit or miss, but guess what? They hit it out of the park in this one, if you will. They win 40-17. We both took the Chargers to win, so we took that cover. So we got a bunch of goose eggs there. But then we each took an over to redeem ourselves for 1 point.
No, we both took the under.
Oh, sorry. I looked at the Bills. I'm sorry. Oh God.
Wrong one. We both picked the under.
Oh, so we both got a goose egg.
We got a goose egg for the game. Both of us 0-0. So we got the battle for Pennsylvania, the Keystone State, which I never understood why it's called the Keystone State. I understand what a keystone is. I'm not sure how you get a Keystone State. Like, the Pennsylvania is not the state you use to prop up the weight of a dome. It is not. But anyway, the Eagles won in the battle 27-13. So we got you and I got a point for the Eagles. We thought the Steelers would cover the spread, which they did not. And we thought they'd be over, which it was not. So therefore, you and I each get a point, and that's it. You get nothing. Good day, sir.
I say good day.
Good day.
Sunday Night Football. You got Green Bay Packers going into Seattle playing the Hawks.
Let me begin.
Oh, they packed it in the 12th man. All right, they put a shellacking on them. Packers win 30-13. That team, like I said, the Packers are a good team. Too bad they're in third place in their own division.
That's
but crazy. 10 wins, third place.
Crazy.
But hey, listen, they're a playoff team, so that's all that matters. Get there and go. What you got to do. What you got to do.
Yep.
We both took the Packers to win. We both took the Packers to cover in that. You took the over. I took the under, which gives me a trifecta, 4 points to your 2.
Yes, it does. So as of right now, you are up by 3 points for this week here. You and I have the same exact everything for the Vikings, so that's not going to matter. The difference maker for this week is going to be the Falcons-Raiders matchup because you picked the Raiders to cover the 3.5 point spread. I picked the Falcons to win outright and cover the spread. I picked the over. You picked the under. So as of right now, it is definitely an under as it's less than 8 minutes in the third quarter and only 15 points scored. But the Falcons are covering the spread as of right now. So, but the Vikings game, let's see here. We got 19-3 so far with a minute and a half left in the third quarter on that game there. So you and I are going to get, looks like, points on that game there that we did pick the over. That's not going to work out very well for us potentially, but we'll see. It's early. There's still plenty of time to go, guys. So we'll let you guys know. Of course, we do our Thursday night, pick there on Wednesday night. What's going to happen there? And then, of course, we'll give you guys also the latest rundown, all the Giants news, as well as maybe talk a little bit about the Falcons game because I guess it's still going to happen. Maybe we'll talk about what should the pilot put on the banner next week. So it is a game in Atlanta, so I don't know if they're going to do that. Is it just me, or is that like more of a disrespect to put it on an away game?
It'd be more of disrespect to put it on an away game because you're taking the airspace away from someone else's stadium, not just. It's not like go towards Mara, although that'd be very embarrassing for Mara to see
right?
at an away
even
game.
At opposing stadiums, it's still there. Like, I would be embarrassed. You know what, guys? I'm going to rent a plane. Okay,
yeah, right. I'll see you down there. I'm renting a plane too.
It'd be hilarious. I'll tell you what, though. If people go to buymeacoffee.com/2giantgoofballs, if we get enough to rent a plane, I will do it. If we don't, if we don't get it, we're just going to pocket whatever you give us. Fair. I think it's a fair trade.
It's a fair trade-off.
Yeah,
That's a fair trade-off.
So, but yeah, guys, we'll be back Wednesday to do that. And of course, on Thursday, we'll be back with our picks game here. Now, Rob will once again be flying solo to make another plane comment here, as I will be on a vehicle trek over to my lake house in Georgia so we can go to the Falcons game this weekend. And I will see you all there, of course, there. So anybody who's at the Falcons game and you see, if in case you're listening on audio and not watching on any of the video stuff, if you see an extremely tall guy with a 2 giant goofballs, that's me. And when I'm there, I will have this for people. The card. One card
to rule them all.
Which will have a QR code, of course, to get you subscribed to our YouTube, because that's what we're doing right now. That's what we're doing. We're on a quest. We're on a mission from God to go ahead and hit 1,000 subscribers, guys. We are so close right now. As we talk here, a second person has gone ahead and subscribed from the show. Thank you very much to whoever did that. We are 854 subscribers, guys. We need 146 more to go ahead and hit that 1,000 subscriber mark, which is a big thing in YouTube land, because that's when they just start paying us for you guys watching, regardless if you hit a button to pay us or not. And it doesn't come out of your pocket. It comes out of Google's pocket. So if you think Google has too much money and you think that we should get a piece of that, hit the subscribe button. Hit the subscribe button. And yes, you are helping fight the man and bringing down the rich people.
Something.
All righty. Let's see here. So Pal says Steve was fighting me there. Pal says there might be a discount to rent a banner plane if you say you're a Giants fan. I heard 20% discount. We should do it in all remaining games so that Mr. Maris smartens up and does the right thing.
Bless you.
I'm telling you, I felt that thing coming halfway through reading that. And yeah, if only that was the way. That was the way.
Oh, you should also clear that he's saying he's kidding.
Oh, of course.
So Yeah, just saying.
No.
People around that life.
Call him up. Do it.
Hey, fool him out.
I want a squadron of planes next week when we play the Colts for our final home game. I think that would. You want to send a message. You have 4 planes flying around MetLife Stadium. That'll send a goddamn message.
We're going to scarf on, and the aviators look like the Red Baron.
I'm just saying. Connor says Raiders still trying for number 1 pick, losing 12-3, and they're probably going to lose. The Falcons are a better team. Our hope is next week, guys, when they play the Jaguars, that the Raiders can somehow find a way to beat the Jaguars. If they can do that, then we're sitting pretty for that number 1 overall pick there. But it'd be like the Giants to go ahead and win like the last week just to F it all up.
Yeah, you done goofed.
To do that. All righty, guys. We'll be back again for you guys. Like I said, Wednesday. We are live on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and of course, Rob's favorite. And of course, as always, we're available the next day on all the audio podcast platforms as well. Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Pandora, Amazon, all the big ones there. So if you haven't already, hit that like, hit the subscribe, hit that share on audio and video. You can do both. That way you have an option to how you want to listen to the goofballs here. And of course, as always, Giant fans, we will see you guys again Wednesday for our next episode. And as always, go G-Man! Get that pick.
Thanks for listening to Two Giant Goofballs, a New York Giants podcast. We appreciate your support.
Thanks so much.
Please, I'm begging you. Please,